Today I want to tell you a tale of two pins, two kinds of pins. When I first started sewing, I didn't realize how important it was to have quality pins to use when I was, constructing garments, holding things together. So I had, my standard glass head pins, and I was horrified one day when my friend came over to help me work on a muslin, and he could barely get them through the muslin fabric. So since that day, I have updated myself to using Taylor Seville magic pins. I'm never disappointed with them. I absolutely love how sharp they are, and I love the plastic ends, which do not melt, and it makes taking the pin in and out much easier. So I have a lot of Taylor Seville pins. I have the quilting pins, the smaller silk pins, long ones, short ones. I have the pins with, the wider plastic square heads, and I love them, and I use them all the time when I'm doing garment construction. And then I was working on making a cover for my ditto form, which I have right here. Okay, so you can see it involves, pinning fabric to the ditto form. And initially when I was doing that, I was using my Taylor Seville pins, and I was bending them and traumatizing them. So the first thing I want to talk about here is pick the pin that's appropriate for your project. On my magnetic pin cushion here, I have the little dressmaker stainless steel pins with the little metal heads. These pins are very durable, and I use them when I'm draping on my dress form or my ditto form, and they don't bend. And if they do bend, I don't feel bad because they're not as expensive as the Taylor Seville pins. So I would use these for draping and pinning together muslin pieces when I'm designing things. Another kind of pin, and this is really the star of this Cool Tools, is Taylor Seville has forked pins. And I just want to take these out. I have talked about these in a few different live streams that I've done while working on this skirt in particular. These forked pins have, a bent pin, so they're already bent, and they've got a really comfortable grip on them. But what I really like about these pins is if you're working in fabric that wants to push them back out, and I think you all know what I'm talking about here. You put your pin in, and then you pick up your project, and then you go to start working on it or sew it, and some of the pins fell out. So these forked pins go in and they stay in. And I was using some of these forked pins to actually pin through this mesh fabric, and I just want to show you how nicely they go in and they don't fall out. Because it's got two pins, it's got this very comfortable, grip at the top that does not melt, and they're super sharp, they go in, and they stay in. So that's why I love the fork pins. Another thing that you can use these for, if you're sewing a garment and you want to make sure your seam allowances stay pressed to the side that it's on as you sew across it, these pins are very good for things like that too. So for example, if I wanted to make sure, the seam allowances stayed flat, I could actually put a pin through the seam allowance, holding it there, but then the other pin is on the other side holding it flat. So I could press my seam allowances open and pin, or I could use them, like this. If I were, let's say I was doing a hem here, I could put them in, and I could make sure everything is going to stay on the right side, like that. And then the other thing about these pins, especially if I'm doing a hem, they will visually show me if I'm folding my hem up a consistent amount, because each fork pin has two pins attached to it. I can kind of see how much of the pins are sticking out. So I'm lining up the head with the fold of my hem, and then I can see that I've got about I don't know, a half an inch sticking out. So I can use that sort of as a gauge to easily pin up my hem. And I can consistently see if if I have the same amount of pin hanging or extending past the edge of the hem allowance. So I've been using them to sort of eyeball my hems too. That's another thing I'm using them for. But you can see as I'm pinning along here, this is knit fabric. Knit fabrics are famous for making the pins wiggle back out. And you can see they just stay really firm and nice in there. And I mean, I can shake this and look at the pins are all still where I put them. So I am a super fan of Taylor Seville's forked pins for 3 reasons. First, they're very sharp. The bent shape keeps them in the fabric, and then the heads are perfectly shaped to make them very easy to then take back out. I love these pins, and I'm finding myself using them more and more over even my standard single Taylor Seville pins. So if you don't have any of these little suckers in your toolbox, I highly recommend giving them a try because I absolutely love them. So I'm just going to share this picture here before I go. You can see here is when I was really up to my eyeballs in pinning my pleats so they would stay flat, and then I was able to do all of that pinning and then bring it over to my sewing machine and sew down those pleats without losing a single pin. So I got really accurate results because everything I pinned stayed securely the way I had pinned it. So I am in love with these fork pins from Taylor Seville. If you have any questions or comments, please post those below and I will help you. I did put an affiliate link, an Amazon affiliate link in the description if you want to check them out. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch Cool Tools. If you're enjoying my content, consider liking and subscribing to my channel because it helps me grow. And thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.